You're 28, American. You drove trucks across the Mexican border for a cartel affiliate. Not a kingpin, not a shooter. Just a guy with a CDL and a child support payment he couldn't make on a legal salary. You've crossed the same checkpoint maybe 40 times without a problem. Tonight, there's a new dog. The dog hits on your trailer. 200 kilos behind a false wall. You're pulled out of the cab, put face down on asphalt, and arrested on foreign soil. Your court-appointed lawyer speaks English worse than you speak Spanish. He tells you 25 years. The American embassy sends a pamphlet with a hotline number. You call it. A woman tells you they can't interfere with foreign legal proceedings, but they can add you to a visitation list. Welcome to the Latin American justice system. They bus you to the prison in a van with no air conditioning and bars on the windows. When the gate opens, you expect guards marching you to a cell. An orange jumpsuit. Some kind of processing. Instead, the van dumps you in a courtyard that looks like a small city that God forgot about. Overcrowded walkways. Makeshift shops built from plywood and sheet metal. Laundry lines strung between cell blocks. Music blasting from 3 different directions. A guy grilling meat on a cut-open oil barrel. Kids running around. Actual children. Inmates' families who live inside the walls because there's nowhere else for them to go. The guards don't come in. They stay on the perimeter walls with rifles, watching from above like zookeepers who stopped cleaning the enclosure years ago. The inside belongs to the inmates. A man in a clean polo shirt and gold chain walks up to you before you've taken 10 steps. He's not a guard. He's the block boss. He runs Section 4 like a landlord runs a tenement building. He looks at your shoes, your skin, your face. He already knows what you are. His first question is simple. How much money do you have? Everything costs. Your cell costs rent, 1,500 pesos a month for a concrete box with a door that locks. A mattress is extra. A lock that actually works is extra. Food that won't give you dysentery, you buy from the inmate-run kitchen, 50 pesos a plate. Protection from the general population is a monthly subscription to whichever gang controls your block. The block boss explains the pricing structure with the calm professionalism of a hotel concierge checking you in. He even apologizes that the rates went up last month. Supply and demand, he says. You have some money from home. Your mom wired cash to a local account before sentencing. It's enough for a bottom-tier cell and maybe 2 weeks of protection payments. After that, you need income or you get moved to the hallway. The hallway is where the guys with no money sleep. No doors. No locks. No rules after dark. Your cellmate, a Venezuelan doing 12 years for killing his business partner, tells you on your first night what happens in the hallway. He describes it in a flat voice, like he's reading a grocery list. You decide you'd rather die than sleep out there. First night. Your cell is a concrete box the size of a parking space. 3 cellmates. The Venezuelan. A local drug runner doing 15 years who snores like a diesel engine. And a quiet guy who doesn't talk and spends his days staring at the wall, drawing circles on the concrete with his fingernail. Nobody threatens you. Nobody welcomes you either. You're not a person yet. You're a transaction that hasn't proven its value. That night, the sounds come through the walls like a radio stuck between stations. Screaming, laughing, cumbia music, someone crying, someone praying in a language you can't identify. At 2 a.m., your door handle jiggles. 3 slow, deliberate tries. Then it stops. In the morning, you ask the Venezuelan what that was. He doesn't look up from his coffee. Probably someone checking if you paid for the lock, he says. If you hadn't, they would have come in. He says it the way a person says it might rain later. You learn the rules fast because the penalty for ignorance is a knife between the ribs. The prison is divided into blocks, each controlled by a different faction. Your block is run by the local cartel crew. They set prices, settle disputes, and handle punishment. Block 7 across the courtyard is controlled by a coastal gang. The 2 sides coexist through a fragile economy. They trade goods, share water access, and maintain a kill-free zone in the central yard. But the truce is a business deal, not peace. It breaks whenever someone's math changes. You're American, which makes you two things: exotic and suspicious. The locals assume you have money. The gangs assume you have cartel contacts on the outside. Both assumptions are dangerous whether they're true or not. You learn 3 survival rules in your first week. Keep your mouth shut. Pay on time. And never walk through the wrong block after the sun goes down. One night, a guy in the courtyard offers you a cigarette and a friendly conversation. Your cellmate pulls you away and tells you that man is an information broker who sells details about new inmates to the highest bidder. Even kindness has a price tag in here. Word spreads fast that there's a gringo on Block 4. A lieutenant from Block 7 approaches you in the courtyard during meal hour. He's polite, smiling. He tells you his boss wants a meeting. It's not a request. You go. The boss is a heavy-set man lying in a hammock eating mango slices with a machete. He tells you that Americans pay a special tax. $200 a month to his crew on top of whatever you're paying your own block. Call it international courtesy, he says, and his guys laugh. If you refuse, you'll end up in the hallway permanently. You're now paying rent to 2 landlords for the privilege of not being killed. Your savings are burning through like paper in a furnace. You call your family back home on a smuggled cell phone that costs you 100 pesos per minute. You ask your mom for money. You don't explain why. She sends $500 thinking it's for a lawyer. It buys you 6 weeks of breathing room and nothing else. Money runs out. You need income or you're dead. You start paying attention to the prison's internal economy. Inmates run restaurants, barbershops, phone charging stations, a tattoo parlor, even a dentist operating out of a storage closet with pliers and bootleg anesthetic. Everything is a business. You notice one gap. Nobody sells American products. Snacks, vitamins, deodorant, ibuprofen, stuff that's cheap outside but impossible to get in here. You call your mom and tell her to start sending care packages to a local address. She ships boxes of protein bars, toothpaste, Advil, and body wash. You mark everything up 300% and sell out of your cell like a corner store. Business booms within 2 weeks. You're the Walmart of Block 4. Inmates who haven't used real deodorant in years are paying triple for a stick of Old Spice. The block boss doesn't shut you down. He taxes you. 40% off the top. You're running a small business inside a failed state inside a prison. But at least you can pay rent, eat real food, and keep both gangs off your back. For the first time since you got here, you can breathe. The truce breaks on a Wednesday over a drug debt that amounts to less than what you'd spend on dinner back home. A guy from Block 7 is found in the bathroom with his throat opened up from ear to ear. Retaliation comes that same night. A group storms your block with machetes hammered out of bed frames and sharpened on the concrete floor. The guards on the wall watch through binoculars. They don't come down. They never come down. The fighting lasts 2 hours. You barricade your cell door with the mattress and lie flat on the floor listening to men die 10 feet from your head. Steel on concrete. Screaming that turns wet. A sound like a watermelon splitting open that you'll hear in your dreams for the rest of your life. When it's over, the courtyard looks like a butcher shop. The block boss lost 3 soldiers. He needs bodies. He comes to your cell and tells you you've been drafted. Not as a fighter, as a medic. You did a first aid course at a warehouse job back in Texas. That's your entire medical resume. But in a place with no doctors, a guy who knows how to tie a tourniquet is a brain surgeon. You stitch wounds with fishing line and disinfect cuts with bootleg cane liquor. You keep 3 men alive who should have bled out on the floor. The block boss watches you work. When it's over, he nods once. You just earned the most valuable currency in this place, being useful enough to protect. 3 months later, a full-scale riot cracks the prison open. This time, the government responds. Tear gas first, then rubber bullets, then real ones. The military storms in, and they don't ask questions. They don't separate fighters from bystanders. They beat everyone. You're dragged to the yard and thrown face down with a boot on the back of your neck. They strip search every inmate. They find your store. They confiscate every protein bar, every bottle of Advil, every stick of deodorant you had left. Your business is gone. Your savings are gone. They throw you in solitary for 2 weeks for unauthorized commercial activity. Solitary is a concrete closet with no light and no sound. You count the days by meals. When they pull you out, blinking and skinnier, your cell has been reassigned. Your stuff is gone. You're back to zero. Hallway status. The thing you feared most on day 1 is your reality now. You sleep on a piece of cardboard wedged between 2 strangers. That first night, someone steals your shoes while you sleep. You wake up barefoot on concrete, and you don't even get angry. Anger is a luxury for people who have something left to protect. You get phone access once a week if you can borrow the minutes. You call your mom. She's been working with a lawyer to file an appeal. She took out a second mortgage on the house. You hear it in her voice. The cracks, the exhaustion. She asks how you're doing. You want to tell her the truth, that you sleep on cardboard, that you watched a man bleed to death from a machete wound while you tried to hold his neck together with your hands, that you haven't worn shoes in a week. But if you tell her that, she'll never sleep again. So you do what this place taught you to do. You lie. You tell her you're fine. The food's not bad. You're making friends. You're staying out of trouble. You hang up and stand in the hallway staring at a crack in the wall and realize you've become exactly what this prison needs you to be. A liar who survives by telling people what they need to hear. A new van pulls up to the gate. The door opens. A guy steps out squinting against the sun. American. You can tell by the sneakers. Brand new Nikes that'll be stolen before midnight. He stands in the courtyard, looking around with that exact expression you had on day 1. Confused? Terrified? Scanning for a guard who isn't coming. The block boss is already walking toward him. You know the first question before he asks it. How much money do you have? You watch from the yard and realize you're not the new guy anymore. You're part of the furniture now. Part of the system. You know the prices, the rules, the blocks, the names. You know which guards can be bought and which ones shoot for fun. You know where to sleep and where to never close your eyes. And the worst part isn't that you've survived. It's that somewhere between the first night and now, you stopped wanting to leave. Not because this place is home, but because the version of you that existed before this place wouldn't survive a single day in here. And you're not sure that guy deserves to come back. That's a wrap for today. This story is fiction, but right now there are thousands of foreign nationals locked inside prisons where the government doesn't control what happens past the front gate. Some of them drove a truck for money they needed. Some of them were in the wrong place at the wrong time. If this one hit you, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. More stories coming. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.